Last year's lockdown meant that springtime photography started a little later than hoped, but there was something very special about having a taste of freedom at the moment the woodlands were thriving and bursting with flora and songbirds after a period of being left undisturbed. I concentrated my efforts on one particular woodland which lacks appeal through the winter, but is really quite magical in spring. I hope to be able to practice my photography there again very soon, so I wanted to briefly talk about some of the things that I do to make sure I'm prepared. As I've said many times, when it comes to woodland photography, investing the time to develop an intimate knowledge of a location pays dividends. It's the enjoyable hours that I spent in a woodland last year that will have immeasurable benefits to my work this year. First things first, I want to remind myself of the scenes which I captured last year, whether they be keepers, concepts, or scenes which I just felt definitely held potential. I want to get a sense of priority, noting the scenes that I absolutely must revisit to try and perfect, those which are worth another quick look, but also to get a sense of geography, because unfortunately I'm not really one for being out all day long these days, so I want to re-familiarise myself with the lay of the land so that I can maximise my time based on the best time of day and entry point for a particular scene or area of the woodland. So let's have a look at some of my snapshots from last year, and hopefully that will give a sense of what I want to achieve this spring. Okay, so I've got a bunch of images here in my Lightroom catalogue. I've pre-selected some from last year, and some of them actually look really nice as they are, and in others are documentations of compositions that I want to return to. So I'm going to start with the first one here. Actually looks quite nice as it is, just a hint of soft mist and nice light coming in, but it is not the ideal version that I want. I just want to capture the scene a couple of weeks later if I can. It's from a nice elevated position, which gives this nice sense of being kind of floating through the trees. And then right across the understory here, so down across the bottom, right through the middle and up into the distance, we've got this fantastic smothering of wild garlic. So a couple of weeks later than this would just be a big blanket of white, and complementary to that are these hawthorn trees. So we've got this hawthorn tree here, and one just creeping on the left there as well. And they're going to be covered in white blossom. So we're just going to get this massive white petals, which I think is just going to make the most wonderful springtime scene. And all these are alder trees, which are nicely separated. We've got some nice kind of subtle V shapes, which are always a nice feature in compositions. Separation, different areas for the eye to travel to, which just makes it a nice kind of detailed scene with lots of things going on, different things for the eye to look at. It'd be nice to see a bit more water running through the beck here, just to offer that bit of movement contrasting against the delicate qualities of all the flower petals. But I think this is definitely one that I want to go back to. It is actually an image that my friend Joe Cornish has captured as well. I'm sure we'll both be fighting to capture the ideal version of this scene. But I like the edges too. We've got this nice consistency across the bottom with the dog's mercury and the wild garlic. Nothing too distracting going on up the left and the right. And then all the complexity of the squiggly alder branches across the top of there, which I quite like as well. And the nice thing about alder trees is that they have very little branch structure further down. So all these slender trunks which reach high up are giving lots of opportunity for points of view looking through the trees and letting all that light down to hit all these lovely springtime flowers. So yeah, that's definitely one that I'd like to return to. If we just make note of what looks like a coppiced alder tree here, and then go back to our library view, and then take a look at this image, that is actually this tree here. So now we can start to think about sequences and subtly connected images. And I really like this composition as well. We've got a nice anchor point on the right hand side here with all the wild garlic and all the lovely texture through the bark of the alder trees. Being very careful down in the bottom left hand corner not to crop into these rocks, but to just finish off that bottom corner and along this bottom edge quite nicely. Again, it would be nice to see more water running through, but you know, we can't have everything. But the beck just helps to lead the eye down, and then sitting very nicely is that gap through between these alder trees here down to this one that's leaning. Again, lots of wild garlic down in the distance. There's going to be a feeling of light on there, particularly with the opening in the canopy up here and that bit of sky creeping in. We have a hawthorn tree in the background here, so again, lots of blossom due to come out here. Nice solid edges. I really like this composition. It's just a lovely, lovely woodland scene with the added benefit of the water feature as well, that I really would like to return to. And I think it's just that element of luck as to whether I can be there on the morning where all the elements come together. But I'll certainly keep trying because I really quite like this scene. Now, this one here I remember very, very well because I tried to make this work a few times, and this does actually look quite nice as it is, but it's not the ideal version. And because I like the scene so much, I'm really just trying to strive for perfection of this scene. There's quite a lot going on, but as a composition, I'm very, very fond of it. It's just a beautiful time of year to capture this scene with all these lovely, vibrant, fresh ferns reaching up, contrasting with the bed of vibrant bluebells, which are just peaking, and then right in the middle here, which doesn't show up quite as much as I really want it to, but at some point this is going to be in full blossom, which I think is a bird cherry. Now, don't quote me on that. They're not particularly popular trees, but it does have these long stems of blossom, which I think, like I said, is a bird cherry. And I just love the way it sits there with the alder trees growing through it. And again, we've got these lovely, slender, slightly kinky alder trees which just disappear off the top of the frame, giving that sense of height. But there's just a nice balance of colour as well. We've got the lovely warm yellows and greens right through the canopy there. We've got the coolness of the bluebells at the bottom. Even just the area of bluebells here offers a nice bit of balance to the bluebells over on the left hand side here, and the white blossom right in the middle, and then those hints of warmth coming through in the trunks which just reach through from the coolness at the base. So yeah, definitely one that I want to return to. Can't wait to capture that one again. Will I get the perfect conditions? Who knows, but the fun is in the trying, I would say. Now, I'll just show you one more, which is this one here, which was taken in June, I think. So very, very green. But again, it's just a little bit later in the season. We've lost all the white flowers now from the wild garlic. All the bluebells have subsided. So we just get this lovely, fresh, kind of almost rainforest feel to this scene. And, you know, with now the ferns are starting to fully unfurl. There's a bit more water running through the beck, so there's clearly been some heavy rainfall. But there's quite a nice arrangement here. And we're starting to use the season to our benefit because we've got the big leaves coming in from another tree on the right-hand side here. And we kind of need that. We want to disguise some of the brighter area over on this right-hand side just to offer a little bit of a frame, take some of the attention away from this tree leaning off. And then using this as a frame here, the trees as a frame over on the left-hand side, some nice arrangements of dog mercury and ferns down in the understory down here. I love these ferns here, and then we've just got these really quite interesting shapes from the leaning trees here, and then a nice vanishing point with some squiggly alder trees just reaching up into the sky there, and then more hints of the beck. Now, once I've got a feeling for some of the images that I think hold a lot of promise. There's definitely more here, but I want to try and remind myself of exactly where they are. So what I like to do is, because a lot of these have been scouting images, I tend to work on composition concepts with my phone to start with. So a lot of my phones are backed up into Google Photos. So here's all my phone images which have been backed up, and what I like to do is go into the search panel at the top, type in April to June 2020, and that's going to give me all my phone images from those 3 months. And as you can see here, there's a phone image of that original scene that I showed you. Not a very good quality image, but it serves its purpose of documenting the scene and an idea. Slightly different positioning, but at least it's plotted the coordinates. So what I like to do at this point is click on the menu options up here and select Add to Album. I don't have any albums at the minute, so I'm going to click on New Album. Give it a title. I'll call it Spring Woodland. Save that. Go back. back again, and then I want to pick out some of the images relating back to those that we've just viewed in Lightroom and any other additional ones along the way. And I recognise this scene here actually. There's that coppiced alder tree, but from a slightly different angle, but it's close enough. So I'm going to add that one to the album as well. There we go. And picking out anything else that looks interesting as well. I think this, very poor quality image, but I think that scene holds some potential, so I'm going to add that to the album as well. And what else have we got? Now, I distinctly remember taking this photograph of Meg, looking quite happy in the evening sunshine, and this was taken at precisely the point at which I made that image of the alder trees with the bird cherry tree in the centre. So I'm going to add that one to the album as well. There we go. And there was that other one that I really quite liked, the one taken in June time. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, that definitely wants to be added to the album as well. Lots of potential there. And there we go. So it's just anything else that catches my eye, such as these ash trees behind the beech leaves look really quite nice. That one's got to go in. And there we go. So once I've built up a selection of images and added them to the album, I'm going to go to Google My Maps. I'm going to click the button which says Create a New Map. Then I have an untitled layer here, so I'm going to rename this layer to Spring Woodland. Click Save, and then click the Import button. And that's going to give me the option to select a photo album. There's the one that we've just created. I'm going to go through and tick all these images, and then click Select. Okay, so that's plotted the mobile phone images from the album onto the map. Obviously I can go through and add some more images to this, but I can click on each one individually. There's the image there, click on Edit, give it a title, and perhaps even add some useful notes such as, I don't know, shoot at sunrise in early May, or whatever you find useful. Do that on each individual image if you like. And it's just a really useful, interactive and visual way of documenting your scouting efforts. And there is a mobile phone app as well, Google My Maps phone app, so you can use that on the move, remind yourself of what's nearby, make sure you don't miss any of those important compositions. And obviously it gives you a sense of geography as well, and a lay of the land so you can predict how the light might fall. And what's also quite nice is that if you decide that you want to update this from a scouting mobile phone image to the final image, then you can click the camera icon here, choose your final image, upload that, and then upload that particular point on the map. So yeah, if you like to keep things structured and organized, then perhaps you might find this tool useful. Although I've been talking about planning, points on maps, achieving visions, etc., I think it's equally important not to be too regimental with the process. It's more about being conscious of key compositions that you feel are meaningful, while also remaining responsive and fluid to fine-tune those compositions, and also exploring and being observant to find new ones, and documenting scenes for next spring or any other season for that matter. The images that I've looked at today are certainly very much the typical images that I enjoy scouting, but it's the more abstracted views that I prefer to be responsive to in the moment and capture instinctively. When I think about my ancient oak woodland project, this will be my first spring season there. And although I hope to create some very nice images, I don't expect to create a meaningful body of springtime photographs for probably another 3 years, unless I'm extremely lucky with the conditions, of course. But the trees have been there hundreds of years, so I'm sure they won't mind sticking around for a little bit longer. Right, but that's it for this episode. I hope you've found it interesting, or it's got you thinking about your own aims and objectives for this spring and the seasons ahead. Just a quick note actually, I have started to take bookings now for workshops, so if you're interested in that, please take a look at my website. Restrictions are starting to ease, so it'd be good to have some workshops to look forward to. Also, please leave a comment below. It'd be really nice actually to get a bit more conversation going in the comments. I read every single one, and I'll respond to as many as I possibly can as well. So it'd be really nice to sort of see some positive activity in there. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this episode and hope to see you again very soon.